Hey, it's Chef Marco Barbaro from Gino's Trattoria in Mayapack, and today I want to do one of my favorite recipes for my cooking classes. We're going to be doing a homemade ricotta gnocchi with the prosciutto and pea cream sauce. This is one of my favorite recipes because it's so easy to make and I want people to replicate it at home. So the first thing we're going to do is make the sauce, then we're going to go over there and make the ricotta gnocchi, and then we're going to cook them. And I'm going to show you all the tips and techniques in each. So the first thing on the sauce is a very, very simple prosciutto and pea cream sauce, Alfredo basically. We're using organic peas, a little bit of butter, heavy cream, not half and half, because it's going to come out better with the heavy cream. And we're also using prosciutto, which I'm going to show you a trick now, is we freeze a prosciutto, thick, sliced a little thicker, and because we freeze it, when you go cut it, it won't stick together. So here's your prosciutto that I'm taking out of the freezer. And this is a tip in the class. When people take my class and they know how to cook, this is something they learn. They're like, oh wow, I didn't know that. So you see now it's frozen, it's not sticking together, and it's cut a little bit thicker than you would get at your supermarket. You could ask your guy at the supermarket to slice a little thicker and freeze it. And prosciutto doesn't lose flavor. It's like bacon if you freeze it. So now that it's frozen, all we do is we take the knife, and this is what I teach in my cooking classes at the restaurant. I really don't teach people how to cook if they already know. I just teach them tips and techniques on how to cut and how to do things like this with the prosciutto. So now you're going to see how it doesn't stick together. And if this prosciutto was from the store and if it was warm from in the fridge, just go from the fridge, it would tear, it wouldn't cut, and you wouldn't be able to get nice pieces like that. So that's all set. So let's go over here and make the sauce, which is going to take you 5 minutes. Once again, everything here is 25,000 BTUs. It cooks faster. My Alfredo sauce is going to take 2 minutes here. At home, it might take about 8 minutes. So your Alfredo, you're supposed to bring to a high heat and then lower it at a medium heat and let it boil like that. We're just going to do everything at a high heat to make things faster. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. You can do more or less depending on your diet. And what's great about this dish is it's a high calorie dish, but you don't want to make it as a dinner. This one for Easter, you can make this as a side dish because the gnocchi are filling, so you only need a little bit. So this sauce and the gnocchi are so delicious, it's worth everything. So we're gonna let the butter melt. Then we're gonna add our prosciutto, our peas, which are frozen just like that, and heavy cream, and you're done. And that's it. Now we're gonna add our prosciutto first. So we're going to just do one portion. We'll do everything about eye, but at the end of the recipe, at the end of the video, I'll have the recipe for you guys with all the measurements and everything. Okay, so we're going to add the prosciutto. We're going to let the prosciutto cook. And I like prosciutto better than pancetta because prosciutto is a little less fatty. If you see there's not much fat on this, I trimmed it down. We're going to add our peas on top, frozen just like that. So figure maybe 1/4 cup of prosciutto in this recipe and half a cup of peas. You like peas, add more. You like prosciutto, add more. It really doesn't matter. So now we're going to deglaze with just a touch of white wine. This is optional. Just want to show you if you do want to add a touch of white wine, you can. With a cream sauce, you don't have to. But that prosciutto gets nice and burned, and you want to get some of those scrapings up. So just a touch of white wine and that's it. We're going to let that cook down. In the meantime, I'm going to try and find some parsley. We're going to add a little bit of parsley. And now your heavy cream. About a cup or 2. And the amounts don't matter. It just depends how much pasta you're making. So you got to follow my recipe. On the recipe, will tell you how much gnocchi to make and how much sauce to make. You can always make extra sauce, and just to make sure, if you don't use it all, put it in the fridge, use it the next day, whatever. So now you see this is at high heat. So once you bring it to a boil, technically the recipe is going to tell you to lower it to medium heat and let it simmer. Alright, so one thing about this dish is in a typical Alfredo, you're going to have butter and heavy cream and parsley and salt to taste. This dish, you don't have to add salt because the prosciutto is cooked and is very salty, and it gives it a lot of flavor. At the end though, once we make the gnocchi and cook them, we're going to put the gnocchi in here, toss them, and then add grated cheese. Just a touch of grated cheese because once again the prosciutto is very flavorful. Alright, so now in the cooking time for this, over here, because at a high heat, you can see it's ready, it's bubbling up, it's getting thick. It takes about 2 to 4 minutes here. That's it. I'm going to shut it off, put it to the side, and this is going to keep thickening as it gets cold. So when you come back to it, if it gets too thick, you could add a touch of cream, thin it out, turn it on, and reconstitute it. At home, it's going to take you probably 6 to 10 minutes because it's not as strong over here. So you just got to play around with the sauce. It's a very simple sauce to make, and then you could see how nice and thick it got. Once it foams up and bubbles up, you're good, and you're good to go. So now your sauce is ready. You leave it ready. You go, you make your gnocchi, you cook them, we're done. And actually, these gnocchi, you can make them. They're so easy to make. You can make them at 9 in the morning. Put flour on them, put them in the fridge. If you're eating at 2 in the afternoon, take them out, cook them, and make your sauce. Takes 5 minutes to make.